This is Hold My Stethoscope.
Hey y'all! Welcome back. This is Hold My Stethoscope. I'm Brittany and I've got my
I'm your girl,
girl.
Felicia.
So
Hello.
this episode's a little bit different. We had a guest book for tonight, but there was a medical emergency that she's unable to join us. So we absolutely wish her well and
Yes, we
we
do.
love her to death, and we will have her on at some point because she's flippin' incredible.
Yes,
And so we can't wait till she gets back to better health and she can join us. So, with that
absolutely.
being said, this episode is for every nurse who's asked themselves on a bad shift or a good one, is nursing still worth it? So, this episode, me and Felicia are going to dive a little bit into it. This isn't an
Yeah,
anti nursing type of thing. It's just talking
no,
the real truth, like me and Felicia like to give it real truth, real reflection, and kind of asking that question. So,
yes. Is it still worth it?
yeah. So let's kind of dive right in. So why are we even bringing this question up, and why is it being asked now probably more than ever? And we're just in a we've talked about this plenty of times on the podcast already, but we're just kind of doing a whole episode around it now. Is nursing's changed. Like nursing is a very, very difficult field in general. And it's becoming so much harder for the bedside nurse to provide that competent care and still deal with the patient populations we're dealing with, deal with
Absolutely.
the business and kind of all of those aspects of it. Nursing has changed. Healthcare's changed so much in the last, 10 years really, but definitely in the last 20. Like I've been in healthcare almost 20, you've been in over 20 years. Like it's different. It's way
Mhm.
different than when I was becoming a nurse, when I was like starting out. Same with you. It's just
Absolutely.
the truth of the matter. Healthcare is so different and nursing is so different than what it used to be. And I'm not even saying that's wrong. I'm just saying it's different and it's harder. I think it truly is. It's
Uh,
harder.
Very difficult. Very difficult. It is. And you know what? You can love nursing, but still question it because I do. I do love nursing. And because there's so many different avenues in nursing, I still question it. My hat goes off to every bedside nurse because it's not easy at all. It is demanding. It does make you question, did I make the right decision in life in the route that I've gone? And it's so much harder now because there's legal aspects that get involved, and so there's many things that have to be done when it comes down to patient care and stuff. And if these things don't get done, organizations such as hospitals and stuff don't get the kickback that they should, and it does make nursing even more difficult, if that makes sense. Like, you want to show your empathy and sympathy and how much you care about a person, but sometimes that whole click, click, click all the time in electronic medical records can sometimes make that just difficult.
Yeah, it's hard because healthcare is a business, but over the last 10 to 20 years, it's become a lot different with how reimbursements are happening, right? And
Right,
like what
right.
healthcare insurances are paying for. And I don't want to say it's in a bad way, but like the quality of healthcare that is being demanded, which is not a bad thing at all, is being demanded, but linking that to kind of reimbursement really starts tying hands.
Right.
So when we talk about healthcare being changing and being in this kind of crisis, it's not like we're not talking about like specific hospitals. Well, there may be specific hospitals out there that
No,
are awful.
no.
We're not saying that. We're talking about healthcare on a
Overall.
global, like, United States level. When we start having all of these once again, not a bad thing, but having metrics and business models brought into healthcare, it does ultimately affect, looking at productivity, looking at staffing ratios, looking at, like all of these other metrics for our patients. And how does that translate to the bedside nurse being able to do that? Resources that are available for them. Like there's just a lot of variables that kind of go into that. So like it is a great field because most people I think get into nursing because they're caring and they want to help people. But you
Right.
also you're getting into healthcare and healthcare is a business. So like there's that other side that I think people know but don't know until they're having to kind of actually experience that. And I
That's
think
true.
it takes nurses a while because when you become a nurse, you're trying to become a nurse. Like your nurse brain has to like develop, right? And it's not until that nurse brain is like pretty decently developed that that business and the other kind of aspect comes into it, where you're looking at measures for, getting blood cultures and sepsis metrics and like you're starting to think about that more global perspective of being like, okay, we have to do, post-op day 1, we've gotta do this for the patients, and we've gotta do, like, all of these kind of, like, metrics that go with our patient, and it's like, "Oh, day 2, we gotta remove that Foley," and whatever all the other metrics are for everybody. Everybody has metrics. So it's, like, hard because we have so many new nurses that are learning how to be a nurse, and then they have to throw in these other, like, metrics and business type of aspects, and it's, like, overwhelming. It's
It's
overwhelming.
very overwhelming. Personally, as somebody, when I was at the bedside, I never thought about their metrics. I'd never thought about, I think being on the other side now, I see where the metrics kind of come into play. But for me at the bedside, and I started it, at a time where it didn't feel as business-like as it has become and how it is now. It's always been a business, but the demand is definitely, more crucial now. Like you say, post-op day 1, you have to do this, post-op day 2, you have to do this or whatever. Nursing care was different before because we literally cared for the patient, and it didn't feel like it was based off of, "If this occurs, do this. If this," it just didn't feel that way. Maybe it was, but you didn't feel it. I didn't feel it as a bedside nurse over the years. And then all of a sudden, more and more and more started coming about that we needed to do to meet certain criterias and do this. And like you say, bringing in all these metrics. And has that changed the love for nursing for nurses now? Has it? Like, do they feel like they can't give that care to their patients because they always have to focus on, "Oh, no, wait a minute. I need to make sure this is done because this is day whatever." It it can become very difficult for a nurse, for a bedside nurse especially, just trying to keep up with
Yeah, we
everything
talked
that they
about
do.
also, like last week when we were talking with Julie, our guest, about like the different like electronic medical records. Cause that was also something that was introduced in the last 20 years is like there
Yes, it
was
was.
paper charting, right? And even with doctors documenting and all of this stuff, there is such a documentation burden on
Uh,
doesn't matter
everybody.
where you work in
Every
healthcare, there is such a big documentation burden. And while some systems, like we talked about last week, may be better than other systems, it's
It's
still a
still
lot. So you have to
it's
provide the
a lot.
care, provide it well, provide it within certain timeframes and metrics, but then you need to make sure it's documented and documented perfectly. And that's like it's incredibly difficult, and that's not even talking about those, like, psychosocial patients that we talked about, not talking about, patients with special healthcare needs, other social determinants, like, all these other things, like, the pressure for a bedside nurse is
It's hard. It's
so hard,
difficult.
and people, like, are not doing well with that,
No, they're
and one
not.
thing that I do think is better, though, is we're talking about it now. Like, I feel like also before, like, people were like, "Oh, it really sucks," or like, "I'll suck it up and deal with it," and, like, it is what it is, and now at least we're talking about it and being like, "But it's not okay."
I mean, do you think some of it has something to do with in certain applications, like there's multiple places to chart? It makes it difficult. Like some of these programs are harder, like depending on which ones these hospitals or these organizations are used. Some of them are harder than other ones to grasp, and making sure that you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's because documentation, guys, is everything. It is everything when it comes to bedside nursing now, it seems like you have to make sure that you are documenting everything that you do, but you need to also definitely make sure that you are following those orders to a T and not like deviating unless you have spoken to that provider or someone about that patient's care. And I just think with everything that goes on in these different, programs that's out there that they're using, that is difficult for nurses. It really, I
It's
don't think it allows anybody to think anymore. Like there's standing orders, protocols, whatever they want to call it for all of these things. And I don't object to those, so don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is there's not a lot of thinking outside the box anymore. And that's concerning to me as a nurse.
it's
I
kind
want a nurse that can calculate.
Yes, think outside the but it's
Calculate
kind
it.
of funny when you talk about the box. I don't know why you just, like, sparked something in my brain, but you're like, when, we talk about thinking outside the box, and it's hard because I feel like the box is becoming more, like, concrete now. It's, like, harder to, like, get yourself out of that box because there's so
Yeah,
many more constraints in it. It's like,
it is.
the person who's, like, held up and is in the box drowning, and you're like, "Okay, get out of the box." Think
Get
outside, and
out
you're
the
like, "I
box, get out the box, but they
can't."
can't get out the box. Right. Can't get out the box. It's
Yeah, like,
hard.
I can't get out of the box to think about it, so
Yeah.
and it's
It's
crazy.
hard.
So, we've talked a lot about what's changed, but what's better about nursing now than it used to be? How have things changed for the better? We've talked about how maybe things haven't been, but
Well, on the reverse side of me saying, don't really get to think outside the box. What has changed and has for probably the better are things like you have pharmacy readily available for you when it comes to drug calculations. I remember as a younger nurse and feeling this pressure of needing to know all these dosages for different drips that we would, hang on patients. Like we made our own little like cheat sheet, but now pharmacy is readily available and things are already pre-mixed and prepared and everything. That's more of a safety measure. So I do get that. And that is something that I do think is for the better for nurses now.
yeah,
What
I
about
mean, like,
you?
we've been, like, harping about technology, but, like, technology is a great thing. It's done wonders for patient safety, so, like, don't get me and Felicia wrong about that.
Right,
It
you're
is
not. Yeah.
wonderful. Like, it is increased with a lot of places doing barcode medication administration,
Yes, absolutely.
these extra safety checks that all of this stuff gives us. So nursing has definitely advanced there. And it is probably in some ways in sitting and like I remember literally starting like 17 years ago, whatever, like however long ago on a med surge unit and like save at the very end writing my soap notes because we were still on paper writing
Absolutely.
that long ago. But you know what I mean? Instead of saving all of that to the end of your shift and writing a big old long soap note for your patients, you're documenting in real time, and then people can see what you're documenting. Doctors can see
Absolutely.
lab results. So there's lots of positives for
There's
the
a lot
medical
of
record.
positives there are with
It's
having
just
electronic medical records because I came at a time where we didn't have those, and we wrote from the time the patient entered the emergency room setting, like every word of it, what they came in for, like you wrote everything down. The doctor like clicked boxes for what lab results that he wanted or she wanted. So don't get me wrong, hands down, electronic medical records have made life so much better and safer for the patient and for that nurse. It just has, you know. So don't get us wrong on that. When we say, you know, about the changes, those are good changes. But I would still welcome educating yourself, continuing to educate yourself on certain things, and don't just solely depend, because what happens when the system goes down, and they call it like maybe they're having a downtime or whatever, and things just not, you know, that computer that you was always used to, that electronic medical record that you were always used to, is no longer available for a period of time, but yet you still need to care for this patient. So it's very important that nurses still learn how to like fully assess their patients, write that narrative, you know, check and make sure, because we're all human providers as well, that what tests are being ordered seems right for your patient. You know, well, wait a minute, and if it doesn't, then okay, we're going back to say, you know, now don't undermine, but going and just asking, sir or ma'am, did we want to do X, Y, and Z on this patient? Just want to make sure, because they're human. So I still would like to see nursing expand, as far as, yes, electronic medical records are great, but I still want us to use our head, you know? I do.
Yeah.
I want to see more of that, and, you know, not looking at a way to feel that the system is failing them in any way because they didn't do something. We want you to think, just think outside of the box, as I
Yes.
say.
So the
Yeah.
other thing that we're going to be doing a lot with guests coming up is talking about there's different opportunities in nursing. Like there's always been opportunities in nursing, but like more traditional, like you were in a hospital setting or you were in an outpatient setting. Like there was different specialties and all of that, but we're got some guests like lined up and really excited to talk about them about these kind of non-traditional paths. Like,
Yes.
I used to do travel nursing, right? Like that's something that's very popular these days.
Yes.
Talking about people that are starting or doing like IV clinics, doing content creation. That's something I'm doing as a PRN side hustle. We have nurses
There's
out there who
AI
are
nursing. There's all kinds of stuff that's like,
yeah, that are making we have, one of the nurses coming up that we're going to be doing, she's got, like, this whole side hustle coaching business on how nurses can kind of get out of the bedside and make money doing other things, so we're super excited. We got a lot of fun guests, so I'm not
go.
trying to, like, burst our bubble, but we've got a lot of fun guests talking about alternative nursing paths, so that's really cool because that obviously is something that's just blown up over the last couple of years.
Yes. Yes. And I'm super excited about that.
So excited. I'm so ready for our guest this season. It's so great. It's amazing.
Yes.
Other things is access. So, back before the true digital age of nursing, right? There wasn't the kind of talking about content creation, there wasn't the overwhelming knowledge that is being shared out there right now. There wasn't
Mhm.
as many ways to go get certifications or go get access to classes. Now, I mean, most things are online now. Like I teach
Everything.
TNCC, right? You had to go to a TNCC class
You
years and years.
did.
Like now you can do it from the comfort of your own house. So there's no reason not to seek your TNCCC. If you need it, come see me.
I mean, look at BLS.
But that's
Look
what
at
I mean, like,
all of
you
that.
have options, your CEN review, like, that's obviously a nursing certification, but, like, all of these things are, like, online now, so lots of ways that you can expand your knowledge that way, and
Absolutely.
then, like, also what we're doing, I mean, we're nurses, like, we
We're
both have
nurses.
RN licenses, but we're doing another side hustle,
Yes. Yes.
we're podcasting right now and talking about it.
Podcasting and talking about our experiences as nurses, you know? And,
So
you know, we still are nurses.
there's
So,
definitely a lot of other options than just that traditional thing, and then when nurses are kind of having that burnout, because we've talked about burnout so many times already, but they're having that burnout, there's alternative options other than just maybe just changing a specialty. There's other options as
out
well
there.
to, like saying no and having boundaries and having that work life balance.
Absolutely.
So, like, it's
Absolutely.
definitely more of a question now, like, is nursing worth it? Because you add in that maybe is bedside nursing worth it for me, or is hospital setting worth it for me? Because I can still be a nurse and do X.
Remote.
So
You
I
could
think
do,
there's
yeah,
so many things to talk about with that, but we're gonna save some of that for our guest coming up.
I like it. Yes.
All right,
Yes.
let's see here. Kind of going in, we're going to talk about, we talked about some things that are worse, but like, we're going to be, kind of real on where the negatives are with healthcare. We've already kind of been doing that, but we've talked previously about bedside nurses or at least experienced nurses have been burnt out and are leaving the bedside, right? So that leaves us to have lots more newer graduates, especially, our area of expertise and field here is emergency
Yes.
nursing and just inpatient nursing in general are having a lot more new graduate nurses, which is hard because you're throwing
Yes.
new nurses who haven't had time to develop those foundational type of skills into critical care settings. And this can be like OB or NICU or, we were just, I was at an education meeting there, NICU graduates and ER and ICUs and pediatrics and all these kind of specialties where you used to back in the day, you used to have experience before you could go into those specialties. Now new grads
Absolutely.
entering them. And there's pros and cons to that as well. But like that's a lot for a new grad to take on.
It is. It is.
It
I
could be
agree. It's a lot. You
it's
know, it's a lot on those that aren't new grads and they are transitioning from maybe one specialty and deciding that they want to do another, let alone being a brand new nurse fresh out of school. I used to feel like in any emergency room setting, oh my God, I love a new nurse because I can groom them into be what fresh. They're not coming with any bad habits. But things weren't the way they are now.
yeah, there's pros and cons. Like it's
They're
definitely not a
it's not
it's not like
easy.
a, "Oh my god, and we should absolutely have no new grads and specialties," and
No,
know what we're saying. We're just like there's a lot of pros and cons, and sometimes when you think as a new grad, like, you're like, This is what I wanna do," but you get there and, like, it's
it's
overwhelming.
a
Being a
lot.
new
It's so
these days
overwhelming.
is different, and, like, orientations are being shortened. I feel like that's across the nation, like, you're
That
having
is.
be
That is.
prepared quicker to take your assignments. You're getting, I don't wanna say, like, but there's, nationwide understaffing, right? There's chronic, like, understaffing across the nation. I'm not speaking, like, specifically of anybody, that's just kind of a known there's national kind of shortages. Like, we have like, right now, especially, it's like flu and respiratory season across the country. Everybody's I feel like it's pretty much across the nation, like, people are there's not enough beds for patients. Like, there's just not enough inpatient hospital beds for
It's
patients,
not.
and we have so many patients and so little staff to take care of them.
Right.
This all doesn't help either.
And it's challenging because when you're a brand new nurse and then you have been, on orientation for a period of time and now you're going getting off on your own and you're trying to find your way. You're trying to figure it out. You're trying to figure out your time management. You're trying to figure out all these avenues with you have these patients. Who's the priority? Oh my God, who can hold off while I try to take care? And it is a struggle. But I guess my question would be at what time or at what point can you feel comfortable enough to give a newer nurse a much critical patient? Like I think about that as somebody that did charge nursing for many years,
Mhm.
and I see that type of I see this type of thing now. Like at what point do you feel you can give a nurse who doesn't have the experience this really critical patient? On one hand, I'm like, we gotta get them out there to learn, like, right? But then on another hand, you're like, but I also need to have somebody that knows, that can see when a patient is going down. It's a very difficult situation right about now. This is something that's more of a challenge that I personally see right now.
Yeah, I mean, it
Right?
kind of goes back to like, is it worth it? You got to think about that in a way, right? We're just throwing out lots of questions right now,
Yeah, I want to
and it's
know, like, what
like,
other people
is
think.
that something you have to take into consideration? Is nursing worth it? Is kind of like we just said, there's pros and cons, right, of new grads going into specialty areas. It's kind of that same thing. Like there's pros and cons of nursing. There's pros and cons of everything in life. So don't think we're just speaking about
No,
that.
no,
There's
I would
literally pros
love
and cons
your
of
feedback.
everything in life. But, these are definitely some downsides that we're seeing when it comes to nursing. Like, these are real questions and real things that are being brought up. And, we don't have answers. I mean, me and Felicia can offer kind of insights, but like, we don't have answers.
We
Like,
don't really
we
have
don't
the
have
answer to that.
answers.
I would
We
love
can
to know
raise lots
what
of
you think.
questions, and I wish we had answers.
Yeah,
We'd be, selling a lot more than just kind of our podcast right now.
yeah, we would.
Yeah, but, it's just hard because me and Felicia both really, like, love the nursing profession,
We
and
do.
something we've also struggled with, we've in prior episodes kinda talked about, like, our own burnout, right? And where we felt that, and it's kind of at those times, like, we've had our own struggle where we're like, is nursing still worth it for us? Because man, it's hard,
You
especially
know,
after COVID, and I don't know why, but after COVID too, just from an ER perspective, we've seen a huge increase, like, for a little bit, I would have to look up statistics nationwide, but, like, the increased number of patients that are, like, very violent, like, that are coming in with these, like, undiagnosed mental health issues that are coming in that are super violent towards staff members,
yeah,
and how that is also playing a toll on nurses, and that's just not
yeah,
new nurses, that's, like, all
yeah.
nurses
All
and
nurses, all
half, like,
nurses,
care workers.
right.
Doing a great job. I know there's, like, the new episode of The Pit came out, and I haven't seen it yet. Have you
Looked
watched
at
The
it
Pit?
either yet, and I need to watch
Yeah.
this season. Yes.
Okay, yeah, I've only watched, like, the first, 1 or 2 episodes of The Pit this season, but, like, that's been a great show to, like,
Oh,
raise awareness
fantastic.
on, like, healthcare people, just to be like, "This is
Fantastic.
what's
Yep,
going on." Like, this is literally what's going on. So
yes,
it's it's great that there are things that are happening out in pop culture, for lack of a better term, out in
mhm,
society that is raising awareness. Like we talked
yes,
about, there's obviously, other strikes and things going on. Like nurses are not happy and nurses are starting to use their voices and, mainstream media in these type of situations to kind of like speak their piece up,
absolutely,
to be
right.
able to kind of be like, hey,
To be
what we're
heard.
going through is, yeah, to be heard. Like it's not okay. Like
Not.
this is not
No
okay.
time to be heard, absolutely. Like
Yeah.
somebody listen. Yes. No,
So
absolutely.
yeah, it's a lot. So, like,
It is.
I feel like everybody, when they ask themselves, like, because we can raise the broad question here of like, is it worth it? But that's something each individual person has to ask themselves because everybody kind of has their limitations. And is nursing worth it? Yes, but no. Like, like it depends on what your definition is. Because I love nursing. I love caring for people, and it's worth it, but when I was at the bedside and my last kinda, like, hurrah when I was so burnt out, and if you would ask me that question, "Is it worth it?" It wasn't. It wasn't anymore. My
It
mental health
wasn't.
had
Right.
had gone through the
It took a
drain.
toll on
Yeah.
all of us. It really
But,
did.
like, that was a good thing is because it wasn't I couldn't keep doing the bedside, like, at that state I was in, I couldn't. It wasn't worth it
No,
to me anymore, it
no.
was too much of a thing, but the good thing is nursing itself was still worth it, that I could go and find a position that still fulfilled me, and I was still
Absolutely.
able to use my nursing knowledge to be able to do what I'm doing now, and I love doing it.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
those are serious questions to ask yourself too.
Yeah, absolutely. And, just thinking about like if you should stay or go. Like, honestly, that question, I feel like everybody probably has that question go through their head.
I
Like,
You're a nurse at any
I'm
point, and sure at least one time in your life, you
you're
have
like,
had that.
"Eh, is nursing really for me or not?" And then you realize there's so many more avenues of nursing that are available to us. So, yes, the answer to that is yes, you should stay.
Because I think that's the other key part of this, right? Is we're saying, is nursing worth it? But I think it's kind of almost reframing it to the real question might not be, is nursing worth it? Like I was saying, but like, is this version of me as a nurse worth it? Or do I need to explore other options with my nursing degree? Because
And
you
you
put
know
a lot of
what? I
time and
agree
effort
with
and
that,
money.
Brittany, because I do find nurses have difficulty with change. We don't do very well with change. And the reason I say that is because we stay in, places, in positions, and we're so burnt out that we become negative. Okay. Take that and move on to something in nursing that will make us happy. I don't know why we don't just think about that, you know, but it is something to think about. Why stay somewhere and feel miserable? Because there are other opportunities in nursing. We should want to broaden ourselves to learn different, specialties. Looking back on my career, I love every bit of my emergency room nursing career. But there now at this point, I'm like, you should have been okay with change and ventured yourself out. It doesn't negate or change anything about you being that emergency room nurse. But it would have just given me so much more to offer had I broadened myself a little more and went in other avenues. Maybe I would have been a good NICU nurse. I don't know. I wasn't even willing to like look into that and try it. So be okay with dipping in at one and then moving on to another specialty if it's something that you're interested in. And don't be in fear at all because that's really what keeps us where we are is the fear of moving on and not feeling the way that we feel in the position that we're currently in and we're doing very well at it. So, no.
There's, like, 2 things, like, that you, like, spoke on that I was like, "Yes." Is one is I'm gonna talk about fear and our faith in a second because that's a really great segue into it. But 2, is when it comes to, like, expanding your horizons, like, I told this to one of the assistant nurse managers I used to work with, like, I am a firm believer that life is not meant to be lived in one place. Like,
Yes, that's
I
true.
feel like if you're stuck in the same kind of thing from the time you are born to the time you die, you don't grow.
You didn't live, you don't grow. Yep,
It's true, and maybe for some people they're okay with that, but I don't believe that that's necessarily the right method.
right.
Maybe that is for some people, so I won't negate that, but, like, you have to push yourself outside of your comfort zones
You
in
do.
order for growth to happen. So, if
Yes,
you're continuing to live life in the same, like, whatever box, for instance, how are you ever gonna grow? So, like
absolutely.
you said, it's important to push yourself. Maybe it's
Push
a
yourself.
change in location, maybe it's a change in the healthcare system, hospital, specialty,
Specialty.
whatever it is.
Yes,
But if
whatever
you're
it is.
at the point where you've reached your max, right? Or you're it's the point where it's no longer serving you a purpose, don't be afraid to change because that's the only way you're gonna grow.
And I know we speaking to somebody out there. I know somebody's like, "Oh my god, how did they know?" Because we know and we live it.
Get
We know. Been
We've both
there.
been there.
Not alone. It's okay that you feel that way. So now pick yourself up and start looking into something else. And you could still be a nurse and find what is going to make you happy. You're welcome. Yeah.
All right, let's segue in to just a little bit of that faith kind of segment. We haven't really done that too much on this
Yeah.
season yet, but I do feel like we're both walking in a season right now in our lives where there's just a lot of unknown, like, just for both of us, especially with you and, your health and your cancer
Yes.
journey and just kind of, I mean, and life in general, where state of the world, financial things, like all of these things, we're both walking in a world right now where there is fear because we don't know what's out there. We don't know
I
what's around the
know.
corner. And I
Right.
feel like we were just kind of talking about this before we started the podcast, before we actually hit record, is the fact that we can both be at peace, as much peace as we can be at, because it's faith over fear, man. I'm telling you. Like,
Absolutely.
if that's one
Absolutely.
thing that has gotten me through the last several years of my life, and I know Felicia can say the exact same thing, it is
Absolutely.
literally having and getting a relationship with Jesus Christ. Like,
Absolutely.
it's the thing that
Absolutely.
has literally saved my life from the bad kind of path I was down. So if anybody is needing to hear that message right now, this is I'm speaking to you. Felicia is speaking to you. Like, choose your faith and choose faith over fear. Leap in knowing that God's got you. It is
God's
any
definitely got you.
yeah.
It's not your battle to think that you are gonna fight it alone. Please know that no matter what you're going through, I don't care if it's in your relationship, if it's at your job, if it's within yourself, dig deep in there. Find your faith because trust me, with everything that I've been through this past year, if I didn't have my faith, I just really don't know where I would be. I always tell you guys, and I keep it real, it's been the most difficult thing in my entire life. Our mind tells us one thing, but when your faith is strong, you'll be like, devil, you're a liar. That ain't happening. But I know it's not always easy. It does take prayer. It does take support. It does take love to be like, no, devil, that's not what's going to happen. And I am living proof of that. I'm going to tell you right now because you couldn't have said that to me last year when all of this occurred. I was like, I'm going to die. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, oh my God, I'm not going to see my family, my kids married or have a family. And it was devastating. But you know what? My faith, my friends, my family, my love, my support showed me, told me that is not what it's going to be. You have a lot of life to live. And I had to believe that seriously. And that's where I am today. And know that you just need your faith, your love for God. I'm telling you, He can get you through anything. It's not your battle to try to fight. It's gonna get worked out. May not happen when you think it's supposed to happen, but it's gonna happen. Trust me. Yeah.
God, it's all in God's timing, not ours. So
It's not ours.
all right. Well, before we get to our last and our favorite segment where we drop our stethoscope, we are going to ask the one last question. And that is, if somebody were to ask us right now about considering nursing, would we tell them it is worth it? So, Felicia, what would you tell them?
Because I am a keep it real girl. I need to know why you would be considering nursing. Because if you think it's about money, I'm going to need you to change your decision. If it is not about your love for wanting to care for people and really care for them, I'm going to ask you to not go into nursing. You have to know when you walk into it, though, that it is a business, okay? And there are going to be things that maybe ethically, morally, you might not necessarily agree with, but as long as you do what's right by the patients, do what you would want someone to do for you or your family member. If that's the love that you have and want to give back, I would say absolutely go into nursing. Go into nursing, but know that there's so many different avenues like we've spoken this whole like day, like the whole time we've been talking to you, and be okay with making changes within the nursing career. So I'm not going to tell you not to go into nursing unless you're not going into it for the right reason. What about you, Britt?
Feel like you just said it so well because there's always a part of me when somebody's like, "Oh, I want to be a nurse." I'm like, "Don't do it. Don't do it.
Right.
Don't do
That
it."
really, and it depends on my mood. Where I'm like, you don't want to do that.
But it's so
But
real because, like, you see people, like and you're like, it's so hard because even, like, sometimes help with interviews and things like that, and so they're like, "Well, what happened?" I was like, it's a feeling. It's literally a gut feeling, and I
it
wish I could
is.
say something better than that, but, like, you kind of, like, know when somebody has that, like, they're gonna be a great nurse, or you're just like, "Hmm." I don't know. But I feel like if somebody were to come up to me and kind of like ask me, like, is it worth it? And I would have to kind of go with you and be like, well, what do you want out of this
What
career?
do you want out of it? It's so important.
Because it's not easy. If you're coming in here looking for an easy paycheck or you're looking because you're like, oh, I want to help people, but don't realize all the other kind of things that go with it, then you're gonna be sorely, like, hurting when you actually get into this career and realize what it is. Because, A, getting into nursing school, going through nursing school, 2 absolute brutal things, and then that's just the start. Because
Nothing
then you
compared to
actually
when you
have
get.
taking your NCLEX, becoming a nurse, learning your specialty, not trying to kill people, like, it's for the rest of your life. For the rest of your
It
life, it's
is.
crazy nonsense. Do I think nursing's worth it? Absolutely, but it's also comes down to, like Felicia said, why do you wanna become
What's
a
your
nurse? 'Cause
reasoning
it
for
can be.
why you
It absolutely
choosing to
can
be
be.
a nurse? Like, that's really, really important because let me tell you, it's not for the weak. I'm
It
here
is
to let you know because people are brutal. And they don't care about your feelings. They don't think about that you're human. They don't think that you go through things on a daily basis and that, oh my God, I'm struggling today. Even though I came to work and I'm having to take care of you, I'm having a pretty bad day because maybe I had an argument last night. Like nobody is when they see the nurses, the doctors, whomever, it's all about them. Okay. And sometimes you gotta be able to swallow what they're dishing out to you. So, and it isn't always nice. So you have to go into this knowing exactly, like not necessarily what kind of nurse you want to be as far as specialty, but you have to go into this with I do want to take care of people. I thrive off of they're coming in because I'm going to tell you, I thrived off of people coming in sick, sick. But that's not the majority of the patients you get, just so you know. It's not. Like, there's sick people out there, but there are more non-sick people that like to come to the hospital. Those are the things you have to realize that you have to deal with. Your emergency room nurses out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, it is a lot less of sick, sick, sick people than there are people who need a placement, people who need a meal, people who need all these other things that can sometimes suck the life out of you, but it's a part of nursing. So those are the questions you need to ask yourself if you're
very
going to go
well
into nursing,
said.
right?
Very well said, Felicia. I love it.
That's the truth.
All right. It is time for our last segment of the night where we get to drop our stethoscope and kind of talk about what's going on with us. So what's any updates? What you got going on, girl?
Actually, guys, I go to the doctor on Thursday. So
Okay.
hopefully by the next podcast, I will definitely have an update for you. I am going to speak to him about whether we should go ahead and do this 3 month CAT scan, or do we just want to wait until April, which would then be 6 months. Whichever way he decides to go works for me. I'm being patient because I've given it to God. Okay. I feel great. Just so y'all know. Lot less pain in the abdomen than what I was having. I am noticing that it is more so. Took me this long to figure it out. If I eat fried foods,
Hmm.
I find that the cramping becomes a little more intense. If not, I've actually been able to sleep through the night.
Yay.
Stent wise, hopefully being replaced soon. Waiting on the actual GI doctor to arrange the schedule um at this one hospital because that's where I would prefer to be. Then this should be it's just an outpatient procedure. They're going to remove the one that has migrated itself halfway out and they replace it because they just feel versus keeping it out, which I'm like, it's not in place anyway. I don't know why you just keep it out. Look at me trying to be the know-it-all nurse, but you know what? We don't know it all. The reason that it is suggested to replace it is because you just don't want that bile duct to become obstructed. You know what I mean? Like it was used to having something in it, and even though it's migrated itself halfway out, it's still something in it. You go to take it out, you just never know what happened. And you know what? I don't want no issues, so I don't argue, guys. I just say, okay, whatever. If that's what you guys feel is best for me, then that's what we're gonna do. Because I have to trust you. You're the educated one when it comes to my GI tract. Okay, so I'm going to listen to what you're saying. So that's the update on Felicia right now. I probably know a little more next week to fill you in, but guys, we're just doing wonderful. Okay.
Yay. I'm so happy. I'm so
About
happy.
you, Brittany? What's going on in your world?
Gosh, I feel like I am just kind of doing the same thing, like, not obviously like that, but, like, the same thing I've been doing, which is just trying to, do my normal job and focusing a lot more trying to get some, pediatric ED education, which I'm
I
excited
love
whenever
that.
our
I love
guest is
it.
coming on and we talking about pediatric education. So, super excited about that.
Yes,
Let's see, Med Max EDU,
yes.
trying to kind of figure out where I'm going to kind of go with that next. My goal is to get my ENPC director status so I can start offering that. Looking more about some of like the EKG stuff. So just kind of seeing where I'm going to head with that. Just still trying to produce decent content for you all. If you follow me on TikTok or
There
Instagram
you
and
go.
giving nursing education tips and tricks. Just trying to just
Stay
survive.
afloat, right? Well, you're doing great because that's a lot. You have a lot of projects that you actually are dealing with and doing. And I'm like, how the heck does she do all this?
I don't
Like,
really know.
I am treading the water, okay, between just work and me just trying to be me every day. Like, and I'm like, this girl is like involved in like all this stuff. And how does she get it done?
Feel
And she
like if
does
I'm
so
not
much more than what she's saying.
yeah, if I'm
So
not busy, like, it's not good for me. Like, I'm also like, I really like I've this last week I've been really focusing like I've had a shoulder injury, but I've had like a nagging shoulder injury. So, but I've been trying to get more active again. Like I'm trying to like be mindful of my emotions, but trying to be more active and just trying to not let, some of the craziness affect me. And yes, I'm keeping myself
absolutely.
busy to
Absolutely.
keep my mind from doing all the things, so
I'm with you, girl. Just you know what, guys? You know what? Let's take the rest of this week, everybody, and work on just staying positive and allow and pushing out all the negative. And whoever's coming to you with negative, just say, I'm sorry. I'm on a week of just positivity. Like I can't receive.
Right.
So how about we try that. For the rest of the week, and when we'll you know what, we'll come back next week's podcast and we'll revisit this. Like, how did everybody do? Did you make it? Did you not make it? Staying positive? Because that negativity will drain you. You all know it. Like, you haven't met, you know how you meet those people that it seem like they always got some negative stuff going on. Like, know what? We're pushing all negativity out and we are bringing all positive vibes in. And that's
Yeah,
what we're
there's
going to do
so
this right.
much that every single one of us can be focusing on that's negative in our lives. Every single person,
Absolutely.
we all have something that is so negative, but you have to make that like literal like decision. It's a conscious decision to not let that negativity win. And
And
I feel
start
like
with keeping yourself around positive people. Because I'm telling you that negativity will drain you and suck the life out of you. Seriously, start paying attention to it, everybody. You notice those people that always have all this negativity, you like, oh my God, next thing you know, you find yourself being negative. It does rub off.
it's yeah, it does. And it
So
could
we're
be
gonna
very
push that away for this. We're gonna push that away this week, okay? We're
I
not
love
dealing with
it.
that. You love
Positivity.
that?
I love it.
We are pushing negativity away, honey. We're gonna revisit this. Let's see how everybody did next week with just
So
this positivity.
I
Yeah,
know, I'm so excited. So
me
just
too.
remember though that, kind of going back to what we started with today, we're A, gonna stay positive. B, that nursing the system, it's broken. It doesn't mean like your nursing's a failure, but the system is broken and you're allowed to evolve, you're allowed to get better, you're allowed to get stronger, and you're allowed to make a new decision because
And
nursing,
deciding if it's for you or not.
yeah, because it can
Really
absolutely still be worth it.
thinking that through.
Yeah, but not at the cost of your own, like, mental health, peace,
No,
any
no.
of that stuff, so just to consider those things. But
Yes.
as
We're
always, we're
gonna
choosing peace this week per Felicia, and I love it. And as
absolutely.
always, please, please, please make sure you like, subscribe, share, all the things so that me and Felicia can
Yes.
continue to do this fun
Yes.
thing that we get to do every
We
week.
love, we love, love, love talking to you, and we can't wait to hear your feedback. So
We'll be back next week with a
next week.
guest unless anything changes last minute. But we do have a new guest next week and for the
Yes.
next several weeks. So we're super excited. And we do wish
Yay.
Amber, she will be our guest at some point. We do wish her well.
Yes,
We're
we
praying
do.
for her. We love you, girl. And
Love you,
we will
girl.
see her on the next episode. So,
Yes,
all right.
guys.
Bye,
Bye.
guys. Bye.
Bye.